In this fifth video here in the series for Python Learning by Doing, we will focus on lists. And lists are basically a structured way to store large amount of data, and in that structured way so that you can both retrieve the data and look at it, but you can also edit and modify and add data points. So that's what we will be going through in this chapter. Hey and welcome here. I'm Torkild Brunsnes, and this is Python Learning by Doing. I strongly believe that learning by doing, that's the way that works the best. It is for me, I can tell you. So try to follow this, these chapters here and do what I'm showing on the screen. Follow it on your own computer. And when you have gone through all the different chapters, I promise you, you will be an excellent programmer. Well, let's grab a cup of coffee and then let's just get going. So let's say that we have a small organization, a billiard club or pool club or something like that, and we have some members and we want to make a list of these members. So the syntax for a list is, let's just call it members. Members like that, and then we say equals, and here comes the syntax for a list. It's these sharp brackets here, and let's say in this organization here we have 3 members. So now we will list these. So we need citation marks, and we can say they are Bill, and it can be, let's say, Anna. Oh, it has to be citation marks here. And it can be, let's say, John. 3 members. So here we have a list of members. We can now use the index function to point out if we want to print a list of certain elements from the list. So let's try to do that. So we can say print, and then we say parentheses, and we say members. That's our list. And then we can say index, let's say index 0. And if we say we want to see index 0, remember when we count from the beginning, index 0 is the first component. So that should return Bill. So let's try to do that. And you can see down here, we get Bill returned. Okay. We can also do from the end of the list. So if I put a minus and then a 1. Let's see what it does here. So we try to run this, and you can see it gives me John. So you see there is a difference. When we go from the end of the list, then the one at the end, that is -1, and Anna would be -2 and Bill would be -3. So there is a little difference. When we start from the beginning, it starts with 0. When we start from the end, it starts with -1 and then -2, -3. We can also do another here, and we can say 1 and then a colon. And then let's try to run that. And you can see that returns Anna and John. So here we say everything after the first one. And again, now it takes the first, that's Anna. So it prints Anna inclusive and John. So it takes from index 1 and following. And that's Anna, Bill is 0. So Anna is 1. And then John. So it takes inclusive Anna and prints that. We can also print an interval from a list. So let's try to extend the list a little bit so we can see that better. And let's try to add a few names here. So we can say we add Bob. And we can say we add Jean. So now we just extended the list here to 5 members. And here we can say, now I want to print the members, and I can say 1 colon, let's say up to 3. And let's try to run that. Here we give a range of indexes from 1 to 3. And what it actually does is it will give me index 1 inclusive, that's Anna, and then up to 3, but not including 3. That's important here. It includes the first, but not the last. So let's try to run that. And you can see here I get Anna and I get John as a return. I can also say, that was the same as before, so let's try to go to 4 then, just to make it visible. And now you can see I get Anna, John, and Bob. So that's index 1, 2, and 3 is these I get. So the 4th index, which would be Jean, is not inclusive. 1 is inclusive, 4 is not inclusive. If we want to change out an element from a list, that's possible as well. Let's say it's this one here, John, that's the element we want to change. Then we will write members, that's the name of our list. And let's say that's 0, 1, 2. That's the element 2. And we want to change that to Mike. And if we try to run that now, we should change John out to Mike. And it's element index number 2. So 0, 1, 2. So let's try that. Now that should be Mike, but we can't really see it unless we print it. So let's try to print it. It's members. And as you can see down here now, this index that was John is now changed to Mike. Lists can really contain all kinds of variables. And it's possible to have 2 lists with different kind of variables, and you can actually combine them. So now we have our members list. Let's try to make one we call, let's say, numbers. Could be their age or whatever, doesn't really matter. But just for the example, we will make numbers now. And we say we have 2, and we have 5, we have 8, we have 9, we have 14, we have 30. So that's our list with numbers. And we can actually combine these 2 lists here now. So we can say we used a function. We use a function here we call extend. So we say members dot extend, and then we say numbers. Okay, and if we now use the function print members, it should add the list of numbers at the end. So let's try to run that. And you see down here in the output, we get all the names in the list. And then after that, we get all the numbers listed. We can also add one new element to a list. Let's say we want to add Vivian to the list of members. So the function for that is called append. So let's go down here and then we say append instead. So members, append, and in the list here we will add Vivian. Members append Vivian. Let's try to run that now. And you can see down here at the end of the list we have added Vivian to the list. It could also be that we don't want to insert a new name to the end of the list. It could be that we want it into a specific position in the list, to a certain index. That's also possible. Then you use the insert function instead of append. Append adds to the end. Insert does it at a certain index. So then we use index. And then we will tell where we want that. So we use the square brackets to tell the index and say, let's say we want it at index 1. And let's say we want to add, let's say, Kelly instead. We want to add Kelly to the list. So we want to add Kelly, but we want her on index 1. That's here where Anna is now. That's where we want Kelly inserted. So let's try to run that. And there is something wrong here. I used the wrong bracket. It has to be the square one. And then we run it again. Still nothing. Members, insert. Members, insert, and then it's position 1 and Kelly. That should work. And here is a good example why it's nice to have an editor like PyCharm, because I run into a problem here where this won't execute, and it gives me some tips down here. I can see here it's in line 3, so it's line 3 we have the problem. And type error, list object cannot be interpreted as an integer. So I think what the problem is here is that I have these square brackets. I can't have them at all. And you see, it can be a bit confusing here in the beginning how the syntax has to be. But I think the warning it's giving me here means I can't use the square brackets. So let's try to run it again now. And here we go. You can see Bill, Kelly, Anna, John, Bob, and Jean. So now it works. There is also a function to remove an element from the list. So here, instead of insert, I can go up and use the remove function. And the index position here I can remove. And let's say, who do we want to remove? We want to remove Bill. Oh. So now it should remove Bill from the list. And you see we have Anna, John, Bob, and Jean. Bill has been removed. We also have a function that can clear the list completely, and it is simply called clear. And that's one of the nice things about Python. You can see it's very straightforward. It's almost what you would expect it to be called. So we can clear and we can clear all. So we simply just remove this here. And if we run that now, we should get nothing down here. So let's try. And you see, nothing. All members are gone. Another function here called pop will remove the last element on a list. So if I write pop here and then try to run it, we should remove Jean here from the end of the list. And you see Bill, Anna, John, Bob. Bill, Anna, John, Bob, and Jean has been removed. There is also a way to search in a list and see if a certain element it occurs in the list. For instance, we want to know, is Anna in the list? And now we just delete this function up here. And we go down in the print function here. So here in the print function, we want to know, and we say index. And we want to know if Anna is on the list. So we just write Anna. And now it should tell us which index she is in the list. And we run it and it says 1. Anna is in 1. Index 1. 0, 1. That's correct. The only thing to be aware of is that if Anna is not in the list, this here would return an error. So let's try with a name that is not in the list. We can say Oscar. Is a person by the name Oscar in the list. And if we try to run that, it will give us an error. And you see down here, Oscar is not in the list. It is also possible to find out how many times a certain element occurs in our list. So let's go back to Anna here. And then instead of index, we simply use the count function. So here you can use count. And now it should tell us that she occurs 1 time in the list. Let's try to run it. And it returns a 1. We can also sort a list alphabetically. And to do that, we will use sort. No, it's members. Dot sort, and we want to sort the entire list here. And then down here we just want to have the list printed. So now it should sort that list up here alphabetically. Let's try to run it. And just to show, we can do this. We can do the same with numbers. So let's try to do the numbers here. So the sort function works on numbers as well. Now it's already sorted. So let's try to put 80 in here, and we can put 20 in here. And then let's try to run. And we want numbers here as well. Just to show that the same work on numbers. And now you can see we get our list 5, 9, 14, 20, 30, 80. A list can very easily be reversed by just using the reverse function here. So we simply just type in here. We try reverse. And now it will take the numbers list and reverse them compared to the order we have here. So let's try to run it. And you can see 30 is now in the beginning. 20 is now at the end. And the same can be done with the text variables up here in the members list. So we can try to do members. And then down here we will print the members list. And that should reverse the members list. And you can see Jean at the end is now first. Bill down here at the end is now first on the other list. So that reverses the list. The last function I want to show you here for lists is how to copy an entire list. And here I simply write members2 here. So I create a new list called members2. And I say members2 equals members and then copy. Use the copy function. And then afterwards print members2. So after we have copied up here in line 3, then we go to line 4 and we print the new list called members2. And if we do that and run it, you will see down here we get Bill, Anna, John, Bob, and Jean, an exact copy of the list up here in line 1 called members. But now it's the members2 that we are copying. Before we leave the topic of lists completely, I should perhaps tell you that there is another kind of list called tuples. And tuples is basically also an organized way to store data sets. But the difference from a list is that a tuple can't be changed. So an example of a tuple could be a set of coordinates. So we could define coordinate and we say equals to, and then we could say 4.7. That would be a tuple here. And in this case here, we can say print coordinate, and then we could give it an index and say we want index 1. And then it should give us the 7 as return. And you see here we get 7. That's basically a tuple. You might encounter it, but in most cases you will be using the lists. But it's just so that you know that these exist as well. We've now gone through a lot of different functions that can be used with lists. But there are so many functions that I can't cover them all here in this training session. But what I've done is I've Googled Python and then functions, Python functions. And you will get a lot of different search results on that with different lists. And I've simply taken one of them and printed it out. So I always have a handwritten or a printed out copy next to me where I have all the different functions listed up. So when I need to do something, I can just look up in the list, what is that function called? And some are list functions and some are for other things. I will show you the entire list here. I've taken the whole list and scanned it in. And I will show it page by page here at the end of this video. And if you find it useful, you can stop the video and take screen dumps of each page and simply print them out to have them next to you. That can be a big help. That concludes this chapter of Python Learning by Doing. Make sure that you follow all the following chapters and go through the entire series. Also make sure to hit both the like and the subscribe buttons, because that would help me to keep creating programs like this. So thank you for doing that. And here after this there will be a link on the screen, and that will be to the next episode in this series of 26 videos. So take another cup of coffee and get ready for the next episode.